Good evening, everybody. I'd like to call this meeting, this August 13th meeting of the Board of Supervisors to order. Let's continue with our usual moment of silence. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. This is not on the agenda, but we have some changes, so I'm going to ask our township manager tonight.
Well, still assistant.
What are the changes to the agenda?
Items G and H under our consent agenda are removed for this evening.
Okay, so that's Provgo, Pine Good, Newtown.
Releases
Security.
5 and 6, you should expect to see them at a future meeting.
Okay, thank you. Public comment. Is there anybody that would like to speak tonight?
Good evening. Charlie Foyer, Newtown Walk. And I come before you this evening first with sincerest thanks for all the efforts that went into getting the Sycamore Silo and Tara Boulevard rapid rectangular beacons in place. The sidewalk traffic at Tara has increased dramatically. I think people are using the Newtown Trail much more. So thanks go out to everyone. And along those lines, it appears as if our Newtown pedestrian, wheelchair, bicycle, and safety initiative has gained some attention. I was contacted by residents of Chandler Hall who noticed and followed the pedestrian crosswalk changes. And they invited me to a meeting with their CEO to explain some issues they have with the mid-block crosswalk at Chandler Hall. And if you're familiar with it, it's quite well signed. It has flashing lights on it. But they brought to my attention that in the past year there was an accident where a car nearly missed they have a food wagon that delivers food from the south side of Chandler Hall, where the kitchen is, to residents who live on the north side or the left side of the road heading toward the bypass. And they've had near misses, and they do note that the police do post a vehicle there at some points. But their safety concern is that residents who want to cross to visit other residents are fearful, and there have been near misses, and this food delivery truck, I guess, crosses frequently.
Can I just stop you to ask one question? Are they here to represent themselves, or why are you
Because they asked
mentioning?
me.
Okay, well, it would be appropriate, I would think, for them to come and ask us these questions and tell us these problems. And I don't, because you're not a supervisor or...
That's
You know what I mean?
understood. That's understood. They asked me to present for consideration to the Board of Supervisors that perhaps the flashing beacons could be added to this crosswalk.
Well, we would like to hear from them, but thank you for doing that.
Okay.
Yes.
Thanks very much.
Hi, Todd McGonigal from Newtown Township. I'm going to back Charlie up with his statement there on that crosswalk. Besides it being a retirement facility, there's also a daycare that uses that that building as well. My children went to daycare there, and I have a baby on the way, and I plan on sending my my child there in the future. They cross the street there to use the pool for swim lessons as part of preschool. So I would hate to see a child, especially my own, get hit on the pedestrian crosswalk there, and it is a very wide crosswalk. So I believe it would be in the best interest to put some attention into that crosswalk. So, thanks, Charlie.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Good evening. My name's DJ Pasconi. I live at 423 Mahogany Walk. I come here on behalf of Council Rock Newtown Baseball. I'm a board member. Brett DeAndrea is a fellow board member. We'd like to bring to public comment an email we sent to the supervisors on July 25th and subsequently to Micah Lewis on July 28th. For a year now, we've been working with Parks and Rec, specifically Megan Prashinsky, to try to bring running water to the 3 baseball fields at Veterans Park. We recognize Megan's hands are tied, very limited budget. It's tough for her. To put things in perspective, it took her almost our entire baseball season to get Public Works to bring trash cans to Chandler Fields for us. So listen, while running water is vital to preserving our financial investments in the fields we're making, most importantly, it needs to be there to keep the fields safe for the kids. Okay, during dry spells, and it's ironic because we just had a downpour, but for the last month and a half when we had the dry spell, those fields get out of control. There's hops that shouldn't be happening. Kids are getting hit in the face. So that's the most important issue to us, is keeping them safe. But it's also about the investments that we put into the fields. We don't come to you guys for anything. You know, we as a Little League organization pride ourselves on being able to do things on our own. Annually, our fuel maintenance costs between Veterans Park and Chandler Fields, which fall under your municipality, is $10,000 to $15,000 just for our annual maintenance. Okay, that's in addition to the $18,000 in field improvements we took on between 2024 and 2025 at Veterans Park, and the $16,900 we put into Chandler Fields. Now, due to the lack of water at Veterans Park, the refurbishment we did to Field 3, we're going to have to refurbish it this year, okay, in the fall. We refurbished it in 2024. There's no water there. All the money we invested in there is gone for naught because we can't properly maintain the fields. Daily or semi-weekly watering creates a longer lifespan when we turn over these fields. Without water, we're destroying the fields, okay? And like I said, to give you a timetable, Chandler Fields, it's every 2 to 3 years where we do some of this refurbishment work. At Veterans Park, we're literally tracking every year or having to reinvest in the fields. But most importantly, it's about the kids, right? Okay, water at 3 fields is going to ensure safer playing surfaces for the kids. When parents are signing them up to play Newtown baseball, I think the easy expectation is they're going to be safe, and number 2, they're going to have fun. And like I said, during the summer when we get these dry spells, the fields become unpredictable with the hops they give us. So just to kind of give you an idea, like I said, we worked with Megan for about a year now, over a year, to try to get this working. We thought we had a window of opportunity because, as you guys know, in late summer, early fall last year, you had the water main break there leading to the bathrooms at Veterans Park. So that was a big issue, obviously. When we heard about that, we proposed a plan to Megan, and then we had a meeting with Joe from Public Works at Veterans Park in late winter 2025. We approached and said, hey, if the township, during their work to fix the water main, could install a water meter and the proper connection, we as Council Rock Newtown are going to invest and run the water lines ourselves. We don't expect you guys to do that, but we need the water meter and we need the connection, the proper connection. Unfortunately, Shanahan Plumbing did the job for you guys. They completed the repair, but they didn't do any accommodations for us. So we're left without an opportunity to run the water lines. We sent that email to you, and it was the proposal from Shanahan. It would cost, the scope, if you guys were going to uptake it, would be $10,000 to do the connection with the water meter. For us to run the lines, again, we will fund that. It's going to cost us about $15,000, but we're ready to do that to ensure the safety of the kids and making sure that the money we're investing in a township park is going to be sustained. So in closing, please remember this. There's over 500 children that play on those fields every season. They play baseball on those fields every season, okay? As I said, the expectation is that they should be safe for the players, and without water, the real risk is the safety hazard. Yeah, our investment may get messed up, but the real risk is the safety hazard for the kids, okay? As coaches, Brett and I have seen our players this summer take balls to the face on balls that shouldn't be popping up, but it's because we don't have water on those fields. This project's a vital step in supporting youth sports in this community. Respectfully, your partnership on this project shows that you are all invested in the kids of this community, and all we're asking is to please partner with us. Let's get this across the finish line so that we can have water for our next season in 2026. Thank you for your time.
It is on the budget for next year. Promise you. Anybody else?
Good evening, Valerie Mahalik from Newtown. Yesterday, I attended the sewer meeting, and I know we have a new member, Supervisor Fisher, so welcome to the sewer board. And I asked once again the question, can the meetings be moved to the evening and televised? I know Supervisor Fisher, you stated in your application that that was something you were in favor of, and I had asked at the meeting yesterday if during executive session, which the public is not a part of, if you could bring that topic up. So I was just following up on that request yesterday. And I just want to add that yesterday's meeting was extremely informative with the EDU process, which is a very complicated and arduous process that many people in the township and the borough for that matter, it would behoove them to understand how that works. And if it were not for Supervisor Mack, who records the meetings, people would not be able to understand what the process looks like for whether it's a homeowner or a business owner or a developer to request EDUs and how involved it actually is.
If it's in order for me to respond, I did bring it up during executive session. I didn't want to be too pushy since it was my first meeting, but I'll press it on the next meeting.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Anybody else for public comment? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move on to reports of committees, and we have Peggy Driscoll from the Planning Commission here to give us a report.
Hi, good evening. Peggy Driscoll, Chair of the Planning Commission. To give you a synopsis of our August 5th meeting, we had a zoning hearing board application for Melange on Sycamore, 255 North Sycamore Street. It is the former Sycamore Grill. The applicant is seeking relief to add 6 signs that are etched glass windows, where 1 sign is permitted in the TC Town Commercial Zoning District and in the Historic District. 3 Planning Commission members are also members of the Harbor Board. The application shows the 6 front windows as single panes of glass, 27 by 30 each. At the HARD meeting in July, the applicant had presented the etchings on only 4 windows, and the etchings were to be installed in the existing windows. The current application seeking 6 new windows are no longer historically accurate. The Planning Commission did not review the application further, pending recommendation of a certificate of appropriateness for the new style etched signs on 6 windows. And when I finish the report, we're going to go back to here because there have been some changes that have happened for this application. Next, we had a conditional use for Newtown Bagels, 2133 Swamp Road. The applicant is seeking approval to expand the existing uses, E5 and E6 eating place, from the existing store at 21 Swamp Road into the adjacent store at 33 Swamp Road, which is the bank adjacent to the existing bagel store. The space will be combined to include 24 seats and up to 7 employees, with hours of operation from 7 a.m. until 5 p.m. The Commission recommended that the Board approve this application subject to compliance with the CKS letter dated 7/29 and clarification from the zoning officer whether E6 is permitted in the CC zoning district and whether the zoning officer concurs that the shopping center parking is adequate for the expanded use. And next we had JMZO amendments. The Commission recommended that the Board of Supervisors adopt JMZO Amendment 2022-03 for off-premise advertising signs, and there's a clean copy that was dated June 4th of 2025. And then we had the wireless communications. The commission voted to table further discussion as the drafts provided still have a number of unresolved questions. The commission also voted to recommend that Ms. Fountain, our planner, accompany me to any future jointure meetings where amendments are on the agenda. And that was all we had. Any questions on anything other than Melange?
I think that's really smart that Michelle come to the meetings, the jointure meetings, so.
Well, absolutely. You know how long we've been going back and forth with
Yeah,
the billboard
I
and
mean,
the
it's-
wireless,
Yeah,
and
it's silly.
I think it's
So
important
let
that we make sure Newtown is protected.
Right. Okay.
Yes, a question.
Yes, yes.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but I understood that there was a emergency HARB meeting today?
There was on Melange. When they came to our meeting last week, and need my glasses. Their application, they had showed they came into planning in June, and they wanted to replace. They wanted to do etchings on the existing windows on the building of a sycamore tree. There's no verbiage on it, but they are considered signage. And our understanding was they were going to do them on the existing windows, which are historically compliant with the historic district. So they came into the meeting Tuesday night. Long story short, we found out after the meeting that they had already replaced the windows, replaced the existing windows with single pane that are not approved for the historic district. We had the HARB meeting this morning. I mean, they pretty much came in and knowing that the windows were already installed.
Right.
So, we try to help at planning, we try to help applicants to be compliant, we try to encourage the businesses, we want to help the businesses be successful in the township. But, so the windows are not, the single pane windows are not permitted in the historic district, they are already installed. They also demolished, I believe, a bar on the back deck without a permit. Now, the windows do not require a building permit.
Correct.
But they have to be compliant with the historic district.
Okay. So HARB is not in agreement with what they have done?
No.
Okay.
I'm going to let Craig come up
Yeah,
and talk.
sure.
Craig's our vice chair. He's also a member of the HARB and on the Joint Historic Commission.
Okay.
Yeah, to just give a little bit more information about what I understand is going on here. The applicant came to HARB to represent, it had some signage on the building, which was a standard sign of a wood sign in front, and then they actually asked for the idea of putting an etched piece of glass in the window as a sycamore tree. At the time, Bill Mahler, our president, had said that's a zoning issue, and we have to determine if the signage would be approved by the zoning board. Our understanding as in HARB at the time was that it was only going to be utilizing the upper sash of a double hung window in a historic building. These are double hung windows straight across. We then realized, again, I sit on the planning commission as the vice chair, we realized that the planning commission, just at that point, that they were not only asking for 4 additional signs, they were asking for 6 additional signs, and that the actual signage was actually replacing the double hung window with a single pane picture window, which HARB did not get a chance to review, didn't even understand the context of it. So we sat here with the attorney and another representative of the applicant. They were not the same people who came to HARB. And we learned it at that point that it was something different. We still, at Planning Commission, we tabled the idea of this because we didn't get enough information from Harb, kind of sending them back to Harb to understand what was really going on. It was after that meeting, which was last Tuesday evening, I believe, that we learned that they've already removed the historic windows, they've taken out the double hungs, and they've now replaced them with this picture window with the etched glass. So before you guys tonight, as a Harb representative, I'd like to say that our historic district is really important to Newtown. And historic nature is what makes the context of Newtown. The building, the fenestration, the doors, the windows, the size, the roofs, how they're made. It's really, really important for us as a board, you guys as a board, to enforce that. What I did learn, because when I heard about it right away, I went to our township, I spoke to our building inspector, Mr. Mack was involved a little bit as I discussed with him what was going on, and our zoning officer about stopping work at this place. Stop it, right? Because something was done without a permit. What I learned really quickly was that in our historical district, there's no regulation, no permit needed to replace a window. Now in historic districts in Philadelphia, Princeton, New York, I can go through the list, it's a historic district. It's treated a little bit differently. Why? Because it's historic. And we want to maintain a little bit of understanding about what is going to happen there. The fenestration of a window, right, in a historic window, there's a reason why window glass is a certain size, how it changed through time, how it was built and how it was made. The representation of historic windows in historic buildings in a historic district is really important. It's actually governed by Standard 911 of the Department of Interior's Federal Regulation of Historic Places. And I understand that our township has not actually adopted that or actually uses it to their power to control the process. I'm not saying that everything is equal. I'm saying there's a process. And in this case, we've learned that the process wasn't even really followed, and then therefore there's no enforcement of it. Our building inspector, Stanley, went right out there. Really amazing. He went out there, checked out what's going on. He informed me that you don't need a building permit to replace a window in a commercial building. Now that's a hiccup in our township. And it's really, really important, even if tonight you guys can act and just adopt the idea that in our historic district, as it is defined today, and I think we have a definition of our historic district, that a building permit needs to be issued for any removal, replacement, change of a window, a door, a roof, a siding, so on. Once that permit is required to be issued, then there's a process. Harb, Joint Historical Commission, any of these other things, and of course before you guys to actually give the final okay. But if we really want to preserve Newtown as a historic district and a historic place to be, which we know we really love and has great history, the architecture is really, really important. It's really important. And we want to do our best to stand up for that. Right now, I don't know how the board's going to act. I know there's a question about zoning for signage, but there's also a question about historical preservation. And I'm not 100% sure how the board's going to act. I would ask this board specifically to act quickly. Let the owner know. He's not an owner that is not unfamiliar with this area. He's an owner who's been here for years and years and years. His name is on the application. Act quickly, act strongly, and be responsible for our historic district. Help us, because we're only volunteers to you guys. We're only bringing this information. We spend our time to hopefully bring to you what we know so you guys can act. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, Mr. Solicitor, there's nothing we can do tonight because this is not on the agenda, is that correct?
That's correct. The matter, there's two separate, completely different matters here that are being raised.
But in
One,
regards to a cease and desist,
yes, that's already underway.
okay, for the destruction of the bar outside? Because
I
that's something
I
else.
assume so. I don't know the details of the code enforcement activity that has occurred. However, I do know that a notice of violation, at least one notice of violation, has already been issued. The enforcement of the violation of the historic district ordinance and HARB regulations is already underway. That's not an issue before this board. That plays out as a function of enforcing the ordinances, which is either the zoning officer, the code enforcement officer, or the police in appropriate situations.
But have they been issued a cease and desist order?
I don't know the answer to that question.
Well, I think in regards to the destruction of the bar outside without permission,
That's a violation of the HARB
Okay.
regulations in the historic district, and they are in violation of that.
and also are there fines that can be?
Absolutely.
Well, I think we should proceed with this.
It's already being done.
Okay, excellent.
I would also say that we should, have an ordinance that lays out exactly what is, in terms that everybody will understand, that makes it clear exactly what you're saying.
Well-
And we should, who would work on that? I guess you and the Planning Commission would work on that?
Just as a suggestion, I think the Standards of Interiors already has that for historic districts. The federal government has done this homework for us. I asked this board to write as quickly as you can, if your next meeting, if you need it on an agenda, an ordinance that says, in a historic district, the boundaries of that have been defined. They might expand, they might go less. In a historic district, or any building that's of a historic nature and is governed by a historic place, actually needs a permit. I don't care what the interior use is, commercial, residential, whatever we might come up with in the future, has to get a permit. Once you say it needs a permit, then therefore it has to go through the permitting process, which means it will be forced to go to HARB. We could talk about it. It'll force to go to everyone through there. It needs to be required that it gets a permit. I don't know how it was missed before in such a historic district, but here we are.
Again, we're talking about permitting on one hand, and we're talking about zoning on the other. Okay?
Correct. I'm
Okay.
only talking about the historic nature of permitting.
Let me finish. Just because you don't need a permit to change a window in the historic district, I was under the impression that you do need
Correct.
HARB approval.
So,
Is that true?
so my understanding is you do need harbor.
Okay, so you've got control right there over window replacement. They don't need a permit. That's a separate thing. If they have to comply with the HARB provisions in the historic district ordinance of this township, then they must come to HARB and get a certificate of appropriateness from this board to replace a window. In this case, they did not do that, therefore that's yet another violation
If I'm-
of our ordinances. But it
If
has
I'm-
nothing to do with requiring a permit for a window or not. It's whether they followed the HARB requirements, and in this case, it seems they did not.
Thank you.
If I may, at last month's meeting, we approved a certificate of appropriateness.
That's correct.
And so, how do we get around that?
Well,
They got it for four. They got it
Because
for
we
the
approved
painting.
one thing and they did another.
Yes, okay.
So they were falsely represented, and that's the
Yes, I
truth.
understand.
And counsel, right, you're the attorney for our township here. Let me be clear. Let me understand. Let me explain to you what I know a little bit too. By creating a permit gives the power to our code official, who we pay as an outside source, this township pays him, to go out and say, wait a minute, you didn't do this. The certificate of appropriateness, whether it comes through this board or they grant it or not, versus the right to get a permit to do work, are two different things.
Correct.
That's why I think that this board and Newtown Township should make sure that you need a permit. Let me give you examples. In Princeton, right, historic area, if you want to replace a window, doesn't matter how old your house is or what it is, commercial or residential in a district, you go before a board. And the reason they ask for the permit is because they give them the legal power, and you're a counselor, so you understand the legal argument, a legal power to send somebody out and shut someone down, and then fine them. Because right now, Stan, our building inspector, does not have that legal power.
Sure he does.
No,
He has the
doesn't,
legal
sir.
power to go out and shut them down and issue a cease and desist order because they didn't get a HARB certificate of appropriateness for the work that they're doing. Forget about the permit.
Sir, you need to make sure that this township knows that, because I met with our officials this morning in a meeting. They don't feel they have that power. We understand that from the zoning, Anna.
Well,
we understand it up and down. So
It's already
not
happened.
clear.
It's already happened in
not
this
clear.
case. The
Easy.
code official has gone out and issued a notice of
Right,
violation to
the
them.
work is still performing.
Well, I understand that too, but they're doing it all at their own risk. And when we take these guys to court on their violation, they're doing all this at their own risk. If the judge rules that they did this erroneously, guess what? They're going to have to take those windows out and put back in the double hung windows.
What I'm saying right now is we might be able to avoid the cost in the future of going to court.
They didn't get a permit for anything, so even if we had a permit requirement, they were ignoring it anyway.
Understood.
Okay, we understand what you're
Okay.
saying. We will work on exactly what you're saying and see what we can come up with. I think that starts with planning and HARB, to give us an outline of exactly what you think, and then we will all look at it, including the solicitor, and try to get something that does exactly what you think should be done, which I personally think is right. But tonight, we're going to address it under the solicitor's report in some way that will help a little bit right now. But yes, you're right.
Madam
We need
Chair, I
something
appreciate that
stronger.
very much. I appreciate that very much. And Mr. Solicitor, I appreciate you very much.
Likewise, Mr. Deutsch, thank you.
Thank you.
But the one question I have, you said that the board did issue a certificate of appropriateness to them, correct?
Sure. For four windows.
Right.
As shown on the plans, subject to HARB's little memo of whatever date. Apparently, they have not complied. The work they've done is not in compliance with that certificate of
So
appropriateness.
that makes it null and void, that certificate?
No, it doesn't make it null and void. It's still out there. They should be complying with it.
Okay.
But it makes it enforceable by the code official, the fact that they're not complying with it. And we'll have them in court. I mean, unless they take these things out and redo it the right way, we're going to have them in court.
Yes, and there's something that, again, the solicitor will speak of when the solicitor's
Yeah.
report comes.
That's the zoning
We'll-
part of it.
Yes, we'll explain what's going to happen with zoning and how it gets there and how they're going to have to comply with what we are telling them before the zoning hearing board does anything to permit anything as far as melange is concerned.
So I understand this case is going before the zoning hearing board when?
September 4th.
Can I ask this board to ask the zoning board for a continuance until we've met with HARB?
This board could ask them. They don't have to grant it, especially if the applicant doesn't agree to it.
I understand.
Okay.
But I'd like to put that before the board. If you can ask our zoning board, who's actually here to protect our township, even though they're independent of you guys, to possibly ask for a continuance just until they've met with the other community groups, zoning, and so on and so forth that needs to happen
Okay.
before then. Thank
I
you.
hear you, and thank you very much. Anybody else? John, do you have any comments on melange? I know you do.
Well, I'm trying to understand the whole process. I think having permits is, as well as a certificate of appropriateness, is like having belts and suspenders. And I kind of think a permit is something that a lot of people outside our residents understand what a permit means, because they all have to get permits and for certain things. And it seems to have more legal standing if they violate a permit versus a certificate of appropriateness, which they can just blow off and get away with it probably.
Anybody else have comments or questions about that for Peggy? Or no? Okay. Moving on. I'm going to do something a little different for my report, Chairman's report. I wonder if Chief Forsyth could come to the front for a minute. Thank you. Chief Forsyth is a dedicated member of our fire department, serving both as volunteer and paid staff for an impressive 50 years. His lifelong commitment to firefighting is evident in every aspect of his work, making him an invaluable asset to our community. As a family man, Glenn balances his professional responsibilities with his love for his wife, children, and grandchildren. Known for his responsiveness and unwavering dedication, Glenn is typically the first to arrive at the scene of a fire, although he doesn't need to be, demonstrating, again, his commitment to protecting our township. His door is always open for staff and members of this community, and someone like me. He actively engages with residents, ensuring they feel supported and safe, whether through fire prevention, education, or attending local events. He fosters a compassionate relationship with those he serves. Chief Forsyth's integrity and passion for his role truly embodies the spirit of service that defines our fire department. He has been honored by Congress, by our state senator, and by our State House representative, and now the township will honor him as well. I am very proud of our chief. He has had many losses this past year, and we wish him peace. And again, I would just like to say that thank you for what you do. Thank you for what you've been doing. And for me, thank you for listening to me.
Am I supposed to say anything?
No.
I keep telling my wife I don't look 50, so I couldn't be doing this for 50 years, but
That was my question.
At our next meeting, we will have something for you to show us how much we appreciate you.
Thank you, and I would not change it at all. I love this town. Some of the time the people annoy me a lot, but I do love this town, and then the guys from the fire department, they're a great bunch of guys. They're part of my family, and I wouldn't change one thing. So thank you very much.
Yes, so thank you. And that is all I have for my report tonight. Mr. Vice Chair.
I won't make Chief Forsyth come back up again, but you can listen from behind. I just wanted to make sure Ellen wasn't hanging out there by herself. I wanted to express my appreciation and appreciation of many of us, that you're always available, always accessible. If you don't answer your phone, you call me right back. I just see you doing honorable work of wanting to establish a legacy of safety for our community, fire safety, and there were years, I believe, in the police department too. You've worked tirelessly to seek several solutions from recruiting volunteers to establishing duty crews and stipends for the volunteer firemen, helping to write the grants for the SAFER grant to get additional paid staff, paid firefighters, making sure that they're trained, with the help of your assistant chief. You've come up with some really good solutions about how we can extend coverage in Newtown, and just for serving Newtown for 50 years in police and fire, my thanks go out to you as well.
Yes.
In addition, I had a couple other things to report. One is that I attended the Fire Association meeting at the end of the last Monday of July. At that meeting, I did get a question about the status of our fire service agreement with the borough, and all I could say then was it's in process, and just so happens that we did get an email this afternoon that the borough is looking to establish a date the first week of September to meet with them. That's been a long time coming. I also attended a couple of days after that fire association meeting. I attended the grand opening of the Wawa. I saw the firemen and the policemen have a challenge to make the most hoagies. I think the police won. I think they did. Yes. I made a couple of brief remarks, one of which was that I had already talked to the store manager and got a pledge from them that they'll be good neighbors and be good corporate neighbors, and that they would be establishing a community liaison for sponsoring events and being involved in the community. And those were the third thing I just wanted to mention, and it already has been mentioned, that my first meeting serving on the sewer authority was just yesterday afternoon. So look forward to coming to several more. And that's all I have, Madam Chair.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Mack?
Yes, thanks. Well, since getting new hearing aids, I've decided I need to go to more meetings and make sure they're working properly. I'm not quite sure about that, but anyway. I attended the Newtown Sewer Authority meeting where I learned a lot about EDUs, which are what equivalent dwelling units or something. If you have a house, you have one EDU, and businesses may have more. And it is not true that there are no available EDUs. They're evaluated on a case-by-case basis, and this was explained very nicely by the sewer authority manager, so that was very enlightening. This morning I attended the HARB meeting and trying to understand the what's going on and with Melange, because I was very upset after also attending the Planning Commission meeting. So I attended 3 meetings. But more importantly, as the HOA liaison, the supervisors know that we received several requests from homeowners associations, mostly from the association I'm involved with, Country Bend, and from Woods of Saxony, both of which are used as points where people zoom through with their cars going from Lower Darlington Road to other major roads as a shortcut, and they were asking for these posted solar-powered speed indicator signs, and I might have more to say about that when Chief Hearn gets up there and makes his report, because he's included in the report how these signs are deployed in Newtown. The other major concern in Woods of Saxony had to do with the sidewalk insulation, and maybe I'll reserve that when we talk about that with our engineer, and I know that the supervisors received that. I mean, from what I see, there could be some improvement, and we'll have to talk about that at the appropriate time. That's all I have. Thank you.
Mr. Calabro?
I have nothing to report, but I do have one question in regards to the email about the fire negotiations with the borough. Did we all get that email?
I don't believe so.
Okay, is there any reason why we didn't? Since
I
we
think
all
it's
have to
just
vote,
directed
since we
to-
have to vote on it, I don't think that it should be just held by 2 supervisors.
Yes, well, to make it clear, Mr. Fisher and I are asking them to give us an idea before we meet about what exactly they're looking for. So we didn't want to go into any meeting without knowing what it is that they were going to ask us for. We
But
thought we
they
could be
responded.
better prepared.
They responded back. The response should have been given to all 5 supervisors.
Well, they didn't respond except to say, we hope to have it to you soon. So
That's all they said, Mr. Fisher?
That's all they said.
That's all the email said?
Soon being, and maybe they got a little more specific about, it's the first week of September, but that's soon.
yeah,
Okay.
they didn't
I'm
give us
just
any
thinking
idea of anything.
since this board has to vote on this, we should have all been notified. I'm technically blindsided that this happened and that this information was passed back and forth, which I don't think is a proper way to do things among a 5-member board. So if you're going to hold back information, I don't think that's right. I mean, some people would consider it, kind of like behind-the-scenes negotiations. I don't find that to be appropriate. It's not transparent at all when just 2 supervisors hold back what they're negotiating with our neighboring fire department, of which we have to vote on, and we have to agree on what they were to give us, which has been a mere pittance in the past because it wasn't negotiated in a proper way. But apparently, myself, Mr. Mack, and Kyle have no say on it until you 2 come to a conclusion that we should have a say on it. I don't think
Well,
that's
there's
right.
nothing to have a say on yet.
Well, there was
because they haven't even
communication.
agreed to have a meeting
But if
yet.
there was communication, that should be relayed to all the supervisors. It shouldn't be withheld with just 2 supervisors. I think I've mentioned this in the past, but apparently transparency doesn't seem to get beyond a couple supervisors, and that's just not right.
Well, all we're doing is ask them to please tell us something, come up with something. So there's nothing that's been done or said that is a secret. We're just trying to get them to the table, and they have not come back at us with anything.
Not in the last month or 2. And it
Well,
might have been when you
This
said
is the
something
first
else.
time we're hearing about
I
this.
agree that
Just to clarify, if I
When you're
just-
saying there's no secret, when the rest of the board is not being told,
Okay.
that is a secret, being withheld from the board.
I kind of agree that anything that is communicated from you guys should be shared with the rest of the board, that's all. Whether it accomplishes anything or not, we need to know what's going on, because lately I've been blindsided by a lot of things, that not knowing what's going on in this town, it seems to be very secretive. And so I agree with that, basically. Just tell us.
Okay.
To
We
repeat.
just told you.
To repeat,
Nothing.
I knew I was going to report it tonight. We got it this afternoon. I mean, I should have forwarded, maybe you're saying I should have forwarded the email.
Oh, just this afternoon?
It was just this afternoon.
Well, that doesn't mean anything.
Well, they didn't tell us anything. They didn't set up a meeting. They didn't send us anything in regards to how they wanted to do things. There was
Again,
no-
I don't know what, maybe am I speaking another language up here? But once a supervisor gets something from an outside association, this being the fire association, they should not be withholding that. They should be sending it to, as a matter of fact, I would have sent an email back to them saying this should be addressed to the administration, and the administration will send it to the rest of the supervisors. We are not here to negotiate on our own. One person doesn't run this board. 2 people do not run this board. I mean, I'm just,
I
you know,
have no- I
we
have no
sit up here,
objection.
we sit up here and talk about transparency, but in the meantime, hold things, well, I just got it this afternoon. What does that mean? The timing doesn't mean anything. If you got it 2 minutes before you walked in this door tonight, I could understand that. But if you got it this afternoon, it should have been forwarded to all all 5 of us. That's all. And I don't mean to beat it, and you could keep telling me you got it this afternoon, but it doesn't take a long time to copy all our names on an email and send it.
Right?
I have no problem with that, none at all. Mr. Davis?
Nothing to report. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. All right, moving on, we have no public hearing, so moving on to our consent agenda. Since it's been a month, excuse me.
Can I make a motion regarding the consent agenda?
Well, can I just say what I'm going to say first, so then you can say what you want to say?
Okay.
I would like to open the consent agenda up this month, since we have not met for a month, so that any supervisor could make any comments or ask any questions about it. Does that suffice to what you're looking for?
The main thing is, I may object to approving one item on that list, and I don't want to reject everything.
Yes.
So I understand by law, it's possible to remove an item from the consent agenda and put it on the agenda for later as a separate item, and I would request that we do that with the Business Common Sidewalk Connections Project Payment Certificate Number 2, so that I can vote on that individually, independently of the other items on the consent agenda. That's just...
Okay.
I also have a question. Since I missed the July 9 meeting, I'd have to abstain from that vote, so I don't know how we would do that. A consent agenda, would we have to pull that out?
Yeah, then that would have to be pulled out as well and voted on separately, because Kyle, again, may want to vote on other consent item issues, but can't vote on the minutes of a
Right.
meeting he wasn't at. He has to abstain.
Right.
So
Yeah,
same thing
they're
you're
doing
saying,
it
for a
all
different
together.
reason, yeah.
So we'll break out
Understood. That's
A
why-
and D, it looks like.
That's why I wanted to open it up, so we could make these changes and have people's requests granted. So, agreed. Okay, let's do what we can do first. So, let's vote on the pedestrian upgrades and rectangular rapid flashing beacon project change order number 1, and the pedestrian upgrades rectangular rapid flashing beacon project payment certificate number 1. Does anybody have any questions or comments about that?
Well, this has to do with the silo drive, or, yeah, I don't know if
These
it's
are for the
Blinky lights.
the blinking lights
Yeah.
At Silo and Terra.
at Siren Town. Well, there are a couple of issues, right? You know those issues regarding it doesn't work at Silo Drive when you push the button?
It works.
It works now?
Yep.
And you know that there's a blockage of the flashing lights by this signage they put up there, the diamond-shaped orange thingy?
Yep, so we're still, is it okay if I comment on the?
Yes.
Okay,
go right ahead.
we're still in the projects aren't closed out yet with the contractor. We're still working on punch list items, and those are the things that they'll have to address.
So regardless if we vote okay on this, they still have to make those changes?
They still have to make the changes, and additionally, with payment requests, we hold retainage on those items.
Okay.
So the full contract is not paid out at any point, so.
All right, great, thank you.
Everybody else okay with doing that in that fashion? The 2 pedestrian upgrades and rectangular rapid flashing beacon project, change order number 1 and payment certificate number 1. Everybody
We need
okay
a
with
motion,
that?
You need a motion to
I
pay.
know, that's what I'm ready
Yes,
to
to
get to.
approve
I just
those
wanted to
releases.
know if anyone had a comment about
I
it.
am so okay, I'll make the motion.
All right, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Discussion from the board. I think we've done that. Any discussion from the public? Seeing none, all in favor of the change order and the payment certificate, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion passes 5-0. All right, let's go to consider approval of minutes. That's what you were referring to.
Correct.
Okay. Did you have a chance to read them, or you just want to say?
No, I can't vote on it because I wasn't.
He wasn't there.
That's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
Okay, so do we have a motion to consider the approval of minutes of the July 9th, 2025 meeting?
So moved.
I'll second that. Discussion from the board. Obviously, we know what Kyle is going to vote. Not here, not present. Any other discussion from the board? Okay, hearing none, we'll call the question, knowing that you're abstaining. Everyone in favor of approval of the July 9th minutes?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so that's 4
And
yeses
abstain.
and 1 abstention. Okay. Consider payment of July 28th interim bills list in the amount of $244,324.81 and transfers in the amount of $1,944.92. Do I have a motion for the payment of the bills?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Okay. Any discussion from the board? Any from the public? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor of paying the bills in the amount that I just said, please say aye. Aye. Okay, motion passes 5-0. Okay, consider payment of August 13th bills list in the amount of $1,062,489.40. Everybody okay with that?
I'm sorry.
You see that in the consent agenda?
I was just going to ask,
Madam Chair.
do we usually vote on the transfers separate than the bills list?
No,
If I may, Madam
No, we
Chair.
don't?
not usually.
Oh, usually we do.
Correct
but-
me if
but-
I'm wrong.
I was just going to say, it may be simplest if you refer to the items by the letter that they're listed on the consent agenda. That way you're covering everything that's on that particular topic. So I believe, right, we just voted on consent agenda item B, and now we're looking at item C.
Okay,
That
so
way we
now
catch
we're voting
everything.
on the August 13th,
Correct.
right?
I believe.
It's my understanding.
Right.
Okay, so do we have a motion to approve these payments and transfers? I'll make that motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay.
You're talking
Any,
about August 13th?
Yes.
yes.
Item C.
Any
Item C.
discussion from the board?
I see we're still paying TD Bank for credit card fees. When are we going to give that up?
We are very nearly finished. So all of our credit cards are now with Penn Community Bank. This is the payment for July.
Which bank? My hearing aids are not working.
Penn Community Bank. This is the credit card bill for July. We all received the new credit cards at the end of July, so there may be one more hangover statement for a few days, but the end is near.
And then we'll never have to talk about TD Bank again.
Okay, great, thanks.
Okay. So we had a motion and a second. Discussion from the board. Anybody else? Discussion from the public? Okay, if not, I'm going to call the question. All those in favor of paying our bills and transfers, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Okay, motion passes 4-1.
But maybe we'll get you on next time.
Well, we'll see.
We'll see.
That would be, sorry. Okay, agendas, engineers report.
Madam Chair, I don't think we covered item 8D, which was requested to be
Oh, I'm
broken out
sorry.
and voted on separately.
I'm sorry. I got all confused. All right. Motion? Okay. This is for the Business Commons Sidewalk Connections Project, payment certificate number 2. Do I have a motion for the payment of this certificate?
I'll make the motion.
Second?
I'll second.
Okay. Any discussion from the board?
Well, yes, as I got into, we got a complaint from Woods and Saxony. I think you've seen that. They complained about, they had concerns citing tree damage, unsafe slopes, and increased maintenance costs due to the sloping. They also were complaining about the weeds instead of the grass. It just looks like all crabgrass or worse. And I noticed that they just threw seeds on there in August or July, and that makes absolutely no sense, basically. And so I think something has to be done there. The third thing was there were 2 trees planted there. And I didn't understand why there were 2 trees, and neither does Woods of Saxony. They weren't informed that the 2 trees would be planted on their property, these trees. And number 2, we did trees with the trail, and we had water bags so they would survive. These 2 trees that they planted are kind of dying already. And they don't have any means of getting water except for tonight, I guess. So I don't know what can be done to rectify that. So I'm interested in hearing what you might have to say about that.
Yep, sure. So we received the letter from the Woods of Saxony. Obviously, yes, we can look into the grading behind the sidewalk. Similarly to the RRFB projects, we're still in a stage where the project's not closed out. They just got done. So we're still in punch list land. The contractor still has items to address. A lot of them include the restorations. So the grass seed obviously hasn't taken because it is August, right? So similarly with the trees, those are things that the contractor will have to maintain. So we're still working with them before, final closeout to make sure that the grading's addressed and that all the seeding and restorations, take hold to make sure that everything's permanently stabilized. So we're still in that phase. I will say as well, there also is maintenance periods after these projects are completed. So in the event that projects get done in the summertime and it's not an ideal growing season, there is leverage to make sure that there's still restorations and things that we can hold the contractor to beyond the contract. So either way, we're still, we're working with the contractor to address those things. We understand the concerns, so.
Right, and one of the main concerns, though, really is proper communication with the homeowners association, especially if you're going to do things on their land that's going to impact their expenses, and they have to do now maintenance that they weren't anticipating. They were telling me that there haven't been very good communication, so I don't know who would be responsible for that, but the township should be able to better communicate with. Now, I know the Woods of Saxony is a special case. They don't have a maintenance organization like Country Bend, so you have to know who the HOA president is or whoever to contact. And do we have a list of those contacts in HOAs?
Off the top of my head, I don't know, but I can find out for you.
They don't sign their names when they say send something from the HOA board. They don't sign their individual names. But I'm sure if we get in touch with them, we could get them. if that's
Well,
what you're
I believe the
looking for.
letter was signed by the board chair.
By the HOA.
By HOA chair, but, yeah, I think we used to, as I recall, we used to have a list of all the contacts, maybe through the maintenance organizations, so that if something had to be done, like emergency services, best way is to contact all these HOAs that then can contact their members. It's a good way of communicating. That's all I have to say.
Anybody else? Okay, any comment from the public? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor of payment certificate number 2 for the business common sidewalk, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. I think I might be remiss in saying that Comcast was not working tonight. So Ms. Driscoll just sent me that message, Comcast is not working tonight. And I was supposed to say that in the beginning, but I didn't, so I apologize for that. Okay, moving on. All right, engineers report. Do you have anything else to add besides that?
All of our items were under the consent agenda. I provided our report, the monthly report. I'm happy to answer any questions that the board may have.
Okay. Anybody have any questions on anything else that the engineer might be able to answer for us? No? Okay. Then we'll move on again to the solicitor's report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First item on our report this evening is consideration of the adoption of a resolution approving supplemental appropriations for the Fire Protection Fund. This is essentially a housekeeping resolution required when you make appropriations from a sort of a general fund to specific line items. The second-class township code requires that that be done by resolution, and this resolution performs that task.
And to be clear, this is for hiring 2 additional firefighters. So, thank you. Does everybody understand the resolution? First, I'll ask before we get into votes and motions.
Yes, Madam Chair. No, thank you for clarifying that. I was just wondering, should we be, or it's not necessary to put an amount in the resolution, or is that something that we will do during budget time?
Well, the amount is $170,000 that's being allotted to various line items.
Okay.
Yes, but we're not spending any extra money. It's money that's already been dictated in the.
Oh, no, yeah, I'm sure that's fine. I was just wondering, because I didn't see.
Yeah, it's sort of hidden. It's in paragraph 1, but it blends in with the other numbers.
I didn't get new hearing aids like Mr. Mack.
You need new glasses, not hearing aids.
I suggest you get better ones.
Better, I'll get better ones, yeah. I got the kind Joe Namath sells on the television.
I didn't hear that.
No, thank you. Thank you for clarifying.
This is for hiring 2 new firefighters.
Paid firefighters.
Paid, 170,000, that's all you have for that?
I assumed that it was the rest of the year.
For the rest of the year?
This year.
Oh, for this year? Okay. And then next year we'll have to
That
do
means
something.
turnout gear and all that stuff that they need to be supplied with. and-
Okay. All right, great, thank you.
Okay, so may I have a motion for the adoption of the resolution approving supplemental appropriations for the Fire Protection Fund?
I'll make that.
I'll second that motion. Any other discussion from the board? Any from the public? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Second item is consideration of a motion to ratify the filing of an application for a DCED multimodal transportation grant for the Newtown Yardley Road Sidewalk Project. Recall that at the board's last meeting, you wanted to see this get done. It wasn't on the agenda at that time, so you couldn't formally take action, but you gave direction to the staff to file the application for the grant. It has been filed, but it needs to come back before the board. If the board's of a mind, it would be a motion to ratify the filing of that grant application.
Okay. Everybody understand what we're doing with the new sidewalk?
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
Huh? You make the motion?
Yes.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any other discussion from the board? Any from the public? Okay, hearing none, I'll call the vote. All those in favor of filing application for the grant, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Thank you.
I'd like to say thank you to the staff for getting that out in a pretty short period of time.
Right. And Shannon over at Steve
Okay,
Santa's. Yeah.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Final item is the Zoning Hearing Board single application that will be heard on September 4th. This is the application of Melange on Sycamore, about which we had a discussion earlier. They are requesting zoning relief to allow 6 additional window signs with the etched sycamore tree that you heard about, and to allow the signs, the total area of the signs to exceed the maximum allowed by the zoning ordinance. In that they have pretty clearly violated the HARB certificate of appropriateness. They have not sought all of the HARB relief that they need, and they may have done some things that, additional things like removing the bar and other architectural elements. Those are all issues that are being dealt with under the enforcement wing of the township. The zoning officer, the code enforcement officer, they are taking those measures. This is strictly the zoning relief requested. My recommendation to the board is that you authorize our office to send a letter to the zoning hearing board advising the zoning hearing board that if relief is granted, that it be conditioned on this applicant complying with all HARB and Historic District Ordinance requirements, obtaining the appropriate certificates of appropriateness, and following all other applicable ordinances of the township. If the board's of a mind, that would be a motion to authorize our office to do that.
I would make that motion.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
All right, discussion from the board. I think it's pretty well laid out. They can't do anything until they get the approvals from HARB and planning and zoning hearing board. So they must comply with all of these things in order to get approval. I think that pretty much covers it. It's acceptable to me. Anybody else?
No, the zoning hearing board needs to make that decision on their own, but.
Absolutely.
Our letter would give them,
Direction.
yes.
Correct.
Direction.
Well, I know the zoning hearing board is not a very friendly place for the public, but I would urge as many people from the public to learn more about this and attend that zoning hearing board meeting. I just wish I could be a party to the case, because I feel very strongly about how this particular applicant has been trying to dupe our HARB board and others into approving what they're trying to do. And they're outright liars, I believe. So unfortunately, the zoning hearing board does not listen to the public, but having people there just looking at them may give them a little...
You're certainly allowed to attend and speak at public comment, even though you may not be a legally aggrieved party
How
to
does
get
that
party
work?
status.
You speak after they make the decision.
No, you speak before they make the decision.
I can speak before they make the decision?
Absolutely.
Well, I got to work on that, and I got to get ChatGPT to help me do that.
And get better hearing
You go,
aids.
guy.
Check my hearing aids, yeah.
You opened yourself up to that, so we're gonna get you on that. All right, so we've approved that.
Did we vote on it?
Did we?
Yeah, we need to vote on it.
I'm
We got a
sorry.
motion in a second.
Okay.
yeah.
All those in favor of sending a letter to the zoning hearing board stating what Mr. Sander just said, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you, Madam Chair. That completes our report.
Okay, managers report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The fund balance tonight is $6,983,985, excuse me. And the plan expiration report is before the board with no action required. Chief Hearn is here tonight to give his monthly report. Good
Can
evening, Chief.
I just make one comment, Chief, before you get in there? It has to do with the Public Works report, where they mentioned that the request of Chandler Hall, the crosswalk at their facility on South Sycamore Street was redone. Now, I think I might have made a request myself about redoing some of the crosswalks. Are in terrible shape in Newtown, especially on South Sycamore Street, up and down, that really need to be redone. And the fog lines are missing from South Sycamore Street. All this stuff could be repainted by the Public Works Department using the new striper machine that we authorized for them to purchase. They did an amazing job in Lower Dolington at the deep ditch where they put in the fog line. and I appreciate that, but they need to do something on South Sycamore Street to make it safer, I think.
Maybe we should bring it up with them.
Bring it up with who?
Public Works.
Public Works, yeah. Well, I'm asking our...
I was going to say, I'd be happy to pass that along to our Public Works Director. I know that they respond to concerns when they do receive them, particularly when there are areas of concern that aren't completed. So I will find out if it's already on Joe's list. Perhaps this microphone isn't attuned to my voice. I don't usually have one. What I was going to say is that I will be happy to speak to our Public Works Director about it.
Good evening, board members. July police report for 2025, we documented 2,309 calls for service. We logged just over 20,000 miles on our patrol fleet. For the month of July, it was a very busy month. We had 25 arrests and clearances, one for child pornography, one for VUFA violations, which is firearms violations, 4 retail thefts, 3 narcotics, 2 fleeing and eluding police, 1 false ID, 2 warrants. One was out of Newtown, one was out of Lehigh County, 1 for disorderly conduct, and 9 DUI-related arrests. There were 14 investigations investigated by our detective division with 2 crime scenes processed, some of which included simple assaults, stolen vehicle investigations, vandalism of the Council Rock School District, several frauds, a counterfeit, and a death by suicide. There were 58 traffic crashes for the month, 191 citations issued, and 170 warnings issued. There were 2 truck enforcement details, totaling 14 inspections, 3 citations, 12 warnings. 1 vehicle was placed out of service. Police Officer Raza successfully completed and graduated a 3-week intense federal motor carrier inspection course and will be joining our truck enforcement task force. Speed board deployment, our new one, has been deployed various places throughout the township in 1 to 2 week intervals. Notable jobs, there was really none for the month. Public service announcements, vehicle thefts, make sure you lock your car doors, remove your key fobs, do not leave valuables inside your car, and report any suspicious activity, particularly overnight. August 13th to the 17th is the annual Greens Fair, so we have traffic delays on 413 up by Penns Park Road. Stop up and visit our police tent up there. And e-bikes. There are laws that limit operation on public roadways. Even juveniles will be cited. The electric bikes will be confiscated. So parents, please do your own homework before purchasing your children electric bikes to ride on our highways. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have. And John will be willing to entertain your questions pertaining to the enforcement at Woods and Saxony or wherever else you need me to.
Well, I really appreciate the speed board data that you have provided. I guess that's going to be every month that you're going to be doing that?
That's correct, sir.
So the ones on the bottom, the 2 that were at Davis Lane and Wrights Road, is that the solar powered or battery operated, pole mounted?
The Davis Road one was the old signboard. I don't have a copy of the actual report with me right now, John, but the Davis Lane was the old signboard. That's now back out of service. That's the one that's about 15 years old that sporadically was placed on Davis both directions to monitor and persuade traffic. The newer signboard I just purchased the end of last year. What was the location that you have?
Wrights Road?
Wrights Road, yes, that's by the school district up here. That was the newer signboard.
So my opinion, and I hope you concur, is that we can use more of those, especially if they're solar powered, like I see in the borough. The Donut Hole has a lot of these. I don't understand why we don't have some. And the Woods of Saxony and Country Bend are maybe not the biggest and best developments, but they are special in that people race through them to get from one major road to another, and their residents there who use it, they walk across the street at Davis Lane. So that's much appreciated, and I know that we got letters from both HOAs asking for the solar pole-mounted speed signs. And I'm kind of wondering how much they cost and,
They're
maybe...
over $15,000 apiece.
Can you tell me how much they might cost?
I reached out to Chief Sabbath in the borough, got the exact cost from the borough. It was just under $10,000 for one pole with one solar sign. So if
Okay,
you need-
that's the pole. Now, I've seen them mounted on, like, for example, in Davis Lane, you have a speed sign that says 25 miles per hour. And I've seen them mounted right on those poles, so you don't need another pole.
That would be a permanent fixture if our DPW can handle that. The price of that particular item, probably about $3,500.
So for $3,500 each, we can have these solar-powered speed indicator signs, or are they battery operated?
They were solar powered, according to the estimate that I got from the borough.
so-
We would have to do our research for bidders.
And you don't need a pole, so they're not permanent on these poles, they're on the speed signs, so 25 mile per hour. You could put them various places at various times, correct?
Not the solar power ones, they're too cumbersome to move from one pole to another. You can get battery operated ones, but then you need the staffing to relocate them, and after a certain period of time, they have to be brought back in and recharged. They're the two old ones we currently have in stock that we can't use over the winter because they're too old.
Okay, so the best option would be the permanent one on its own pole. Is that what you're saying?
If you're talking for a consistent travel problem, a consistent speed problem at a location, yeah, permanently mount it and
Yeah.
see if it works.
Okay, so right now, you're collecting that data about how much speeding is going on because of this data here. So
Yep.
as you continue to do that, we'll learn more about what's needed, right?
That's correct, sir. It gives me the actual speed and the average number of cars that pass a particular intersection at that spot, what direction it's facing, and we can use that data for actually deployment of that equipment.
Right. Okay, thank you very much, Chief.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
And I noticed that what I looked like an addition with the signboard data as well. And my thought was just to carry it another step past where Mr. Mack was speaking. Maybe we could work with administration and come up with some prices and, put it on our budget for next year.
I'm more than happy to do that. I did submit a budget proposal for 2 battery power ones at $12,000, but if you want me to research an additional trailer and/or the solar power ones, I'd be happy to do so and submit them proposals.
Well, we love solar power. Let's just say that.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for the chief? Okay, brings us to our second round of public comment. Here, this is ready for you.
Good evening, everybody. Bradley Cooper, Newtown Grant resident since 1999. And I just wanted to bring up a few things that, since I couldn't bring them up since you guys were having fun vacations and enjoying the summertime like we all have, but in the past 3 to 4 months, where I have to live in Newtown Grant, there's been a lot of construction going on because the supervisors allowed the Toll Brothers and DeLuca to build on Twining Bridge Road and Newtown. And traffic is getting a little backed up because of that, so I'm a little upset by that I have to deal with that just like some of the other residents. And just wanted to bring up that the Wawa wasn't as nice of a neighbor as you think they are, that we were told, that they actually went out of their way to try to enforce their will onto the township by making their signs the way they wanted to, telling us that residents don't matter. So they're not that great of a neighbor as you think they are. They only act that way because they got what they wanted at the end of the day by negotiating, like it or not, and they got what they wanted. So of course they're going to bend over and say, oh, we'll give you a couple hundred here or a couple hundred there. They got what they wanted at the end of the day, which now makes the township have to deal with these issues or problems that they could create and arise, just like Toll Brothers and these other people that seem to be the favorites of you guys, not what the residents have to say, which we will have some probably other applicants who will come up in front of us that I hope that you guys change your tune and stop supporting them and start supporting the residents, because that's what it seems like you always do, is residents don't matter, it's the applicants when you go behind closed doors and make negotiations with them and then come back and say how great it was that we negotiated with them, and then we look at it as, well, that's not what we wanted as a township. It's not fixing the problems or making the problem any better than what we wanted to have happen. It seems like you just worked with them to get what you guys wanted, not what we wanted. And I wish it was more shown to us that you care more about what we have to say, not what the applicant wants.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I had no problem hearing you, by the way.
Okay, that brings us to other business. Is there any other business?
I had something, I just wanted to know if the other board members got a letter from Evan Resnikoff, who's the chief of the EMS, of Newtown EMS. Was asking us to consider supporting a House Bill 1152. I just wondered if anyone had a chance to look at that, if we wanted to consider at a future meeting authorizing, since it wasn't on the agenda tonight, I don't think we can do anything, but should we put it on a future agenda to have a letter of support or a resolution generated?
Yes, I asked the administration to put it on our next agenda, finding out that it was not time sensitive. Right. And that it's stalled up there in Harrisburg, so I think the next meeting it would be fine to do that then, so.
It'd be a way we could show some support, additional support for the EMS.
Yes.
Good, thanks.
Any other old business? All right, I think that's it then. All right, hearing no more, I will call this meeting adjourned.